there will be trouble, trials in our life, but my God will deliver. Only He can make it right. He said He never forsake me, so I keep holding on. He'll be right there to lead me through the storm. Oh Lord, I can remember, oh so many times there was a mountain in front of me that I just could not climb. Gave that burden to Jesus, and I kept pushing on, and once again He led me through the storm. So when you feel like you just can't go on, don't give up. Remember, God will be, He'll be right there to bring you through the storm. Your pain and sorrow, Jesus, the same today, tomorrow. Just trust, have faith, He will deliver power to overcome. God said He'll give us. Father, God in heaven, hear us when we pray. Give us our daily bread. Each and every day, help us to remember the victory is won. We're more than conquerors when we come through the storm. Lord, help us to overcome. Give what we need to get through the storm. Lord, help us to overcome. Give what we need to bring us through the storm. Lord, help us to overcome. Give what we need to get through the storm. Lord, help us to overcome. Give what we need to bring us through the storm. Lord, Jesus came to John and said,
I need to be baptized.
And this is what old John replied.
It's me you should baptize. And Jesus said, for righteousness,
suffer not.
in the name of
Jesus, holy, Jesus, 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 holy, Jesus, 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 holy, Jesus, 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 holy, Jesus, Jesus, baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, Jesus Christ. No other name under heaven can men be saved by.
saved by.
That devil up in the name of Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah.
So I can do what I want to do. Baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, Jesus Christ. No other name under heaven can men be saved by. I can bind that devil up in the name of Jesus Christ. So I can do what I want to do.
And when they had heard thee,
They were pricked in their heart.
and they said unto Peter,
What shall I do? What shall I do?
repent,
And be baptized.
every one of you, in the name of
Jesus, holy, Jesus, 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 holy, Jesus, oh, Jesus, Jesus, holy, Jesus, Jesus, holy, Jesus, Jesus, baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, Jesus Christ. No other name under heaven can men be saved by. I can bind that devil up in the name of Jesus Christ. So I can do what I want to do. Baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, Jesus Christ. No other name under heaven can men be saved by. Bind that devil up in the name of Jesus Christ. So I can do what I want to do.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Greetings, greetings. And I'm hoping that y'all can hear me okay. I was just straightening something out there. I know it's time for Bible study. I know it is getting late. But I was in a very important meeting session, and I forgot that it was tonight, but regarding some of the things we do with video and our social media ministry. But I hope that everybody is doing well. Let me just check in and see how we all are doing there. Let me cut my volume up a little bit. I want to say greetings to all of you. Let's see who's over in our chat room. We have over there, let me see, who do we have? Let me straighten myself out here. First one in tonight was, come on, mouse. I have a new, somewhat setup I'm dealing with here in this. Here we go. Brother Brian Johnson, our brother from another mother. He was first in our chat room tonight. Brother Brian is also one of our new moderators. Yeah. Sister Veronica N, Brother David East, one of our moderators. Sister Marie, Brother Harold Ferguson, Sister Barbara Betton, there's Brother Drake, Brother Tobiah. Listen, we are so happy that all of you all are here and that you're tuning in. We are looking forward to continuing this lesson that we have been doing, and we are going to get right into it right now. Right now, we're going to dive into this lesson, but before we do that, we're going to give you a little information regarding our phone app. If you do not have this phone app, it's for free. You need to get it because it tells you what's going on locally, and we do have some local things going on. And then there's also our IOG app that we've been talking about and promoting. We'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end of the show, but stand by for this identification. We'll be right back. All right. Listen, we have a lesson that we must embark on tonight, and we're going to embark on that. We, in the morning, don't forget that we have a lesson at 11:30 a.m. That lesson would be just a 1 hour lesson, so make sure you hit that subscribe and share button right there, that notification bell. Make sure you do that so you can get the lesson that is going to come in the morning dealing with Passover and unleavened bread. This year we want to make sure that everybody not only just know what the date is and how do you keep it, but why. We're talking about why. And we're going to embark on this right now. First of all, we're going to go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. We want to remind you in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, class, that this is the book that we know that we have to go by as being the plan to salvation. All right, that's going to be in our Bible. I'm going to make sure I have all of that set up. There it is. It's almost there. It's not quite there. Let me move it over so you can see it. This is Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And I think that this is one of these books that you need to keep in mind, mark it down, learn it. You know, a lot of people are learning a lot of things, but what they're not doing is learning about this plan to salvation in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. We kind of we argue, I don't want to say argue, that's not the correct word. We debate a lot of things. This is important, okay? This right here is important. And I want you to get it and understand it as thoroughly as you can. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. I'm just going to put it up for a second because this is the book. This is what we call the plan to salvation. In this chapter, before we get into our full presentation, in this chapter, the word seven or its derivative, right here. The word seven or its derivative, seventh, or the word seven, is mentioned 17 times in the book of Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. This is another word that's also mentioned in this it's a phrase, and I wanna give it to you, and it's right here. The morrow after the Sabbath. You'll note that that particular phrase is written several times right here in this Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. We're going to discuss that tonight. 7 and the morrow after the Sabbath. 7, the seventh day is the Sabbath, but we also have to look at this phrase, morrow after. Morrow after the Sabbath. That is important, very important, because the Lord is trying to explain something to us, and it's important that we understand that. So we're going to get into this and get into this PowerPoint that we have, so you can kind of get where we're coming from, okay? Here is the plan to salvation right there. Let me move over here so you all can see that. And we made it big so that you all could see it up on the screen. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because I want you to see it. I'm just staying here because I am going to be teaching and looking up there on it. So I want you to see it as large as you possibly can. All right, how's that? That's good. Okay, now, 7 is mentioned right here, because again, we told you that the word 7 or morrow after the Sabbath is mentioned a lot, okay? But I also want you to look at this right here, where I'm going to have to shift every time, but that's okay. I can fix that, so I don't have to do that, and I'm going to do that right now. Where is my camera? I got a camera here that I can control from a different angle, and I'm going to do that, all right? But, because it'll bother me all night if I don't do it right. All right, so let me get this right. Here we go. So let me straighten this out right now. All righty. And let me do some unlocking here so we don't have to worry about that no more, okay? Well, I thought it would move over. Yeah, we'll leave that like that. There we go. We'll leave it just like that, okay? And then we can go back here, over here like this, and don't have to worry about it. There we go. All right, so let's get into this. Plan to salvation. Notice that it says that in this whole context, let me go back over to it right here, all the way back to the beginning. In 2 Peter 3 and 8, but beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day. There is a reason. There is a reason why he keeps saying the word 7. I'm just going to go over this so you can see it again. It's right here. Because the Lord is only giving mankind 7,000 years. That's what he's trying to show mankind. That from the day that man was made, on the 6th day, all the way to the flood has been 2,000 years. From the flood to the death of Christ has been another 2,000 years. From that point to right now, we are just about ending 2,000 years. However, because Israel was scattered, time that we should know was not kept. So some people say, well, it's off, the calendar's off, all like that. That's okay. Because if we want to know when is the end of the 6th day, we know it just by simply going to the book of Matthew. Matthew, the 24th chapter, because he lets us know certain signs that we're going to be able to see. And it's right here. Let me go over there real quick. Matthew, the 24th chapter. Because remember, they asked Jesus, tell us, when shall these things be? What should be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? Now, when they say the end of the world as we know it, because the end of the world as we know it is when Jesus will be setting his kingdom up right here on earth, class, and he's going to do that when he returns. And that will be right here. Let me go to it real quick. Right there, on that first resurrection, on that seventh day, he will be setting up the kingdom. Okay? Right there on that seventh day. I want y'all to look at it. That's why he talks about Feast of Unleavened Bread being 7 days. Feast of Tabernacles being 7 days. Because he's going to return during the 7,000 years. That is the reign of Christ. He will reign on that period. Okay? That is important to know. Because that's when he, Christ, is going to reign. Okay? Now, some important things to understand. We know that because when we go back to the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, he says here that this is when everything's going to happen. So when they asked Jesus, when shall these things be? What should be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? He gave it to them. He's telling them. This is what we have to write down. This is what we have to take knowledge of when it's going to all take place. And it's all going to take place just as he said it is. So when we look at it, he says, because right now we got different wars going on all over the place, have been for a long time. So somebody say, well, how long has that been going on? It goes right back here. From the death of Jesus to now, there's been a lot of wars and rumors of wars and earthquakes in diverse places since over the past 2,000 years. It's been happening. So somebody says, well, how long is this going to go on for? How long is it going to be before this thing ever comes to its climax, to the end? When is it going to be? Because what evidence do we have that he's going to return? Let's look at some of the things that he said in here in the scriptures real quick. Look at what he says. Many is going to come in my name saying I am Christ. In other words, they're going to come as ministers confirming, and they will acknowledge him as being the Messiah. But they're going to deceive a lot of people. And you're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. Nation shall rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence, that's diseases, and earthquakes in divers places. They're having earthquakes all over the place. We just came out of the coronavirus. That's pestilence. All of these things are simply just the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. Brothers and sisters, we right there. Many false prophets are going to arise and deceive many. When you say false prophets, a false prophet would use the book that has been provided for us to get light, instruction, and eternal life. They will use that same book and deceive folk that certain things you don't have to do anymore. That's what a false prophet will do. And because iniquity shall abound in verse 12, the love of many shall wax cold. We're seeing a time where things have changed. The persona of the atmosphere has changed. Folks have short fuses today. Folks will take you out on road rage, and just the hearts of many have just waxed cold. But he that endures to the end shall be saved. But this kingdom of God shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come. I want you to listen to this. This kingdom, this gospel of the kingdom, this gospel of the kingdom. What kingdom? The gospel of the kingdom of Christ and the gospel of the kingdom of the Father right here on, that's going to come right here on this earth. That's why he says, "Thou kingdom come, thy will be done." Because that kingdom is going to come right here on this earth. Why is that? Because Christ is going to reign during the millennium, 1,000 years. He's going to reign. And this is why we must bring this gospel unto all the world for a witness. When this gospel comes to you as a witness, that means on the day of judgment, you can't say, "I didn't get it." And then shall the end come. And then in verse 15, when you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation. What is an abomination? People that do the opposite in what the Lord commanded. Because you are doing something abominable. And when you should see the abomination of desolation, you got to go over there and read that in Daniel, because he's talking about the fourth beast. He's talking about the Rome. When you see that prophet or that false prophet stand in the holy place, that's when there's going to be problems. That's when it's going to be problems. So it's important that you understand that. So again, you'll know what time it is. So during that millennium, during that reign of Christ, this is the seventh day. We're not there yet. We're not there. Somebody said, "Well, how do we know we're not there yet?" Because he said that the lion or the bear will be able to eat straw with the lamb. That won't happen. You can put both of them in the same room with some hay, and I guarantee you that baby lamb is going to be the preferred treat. That baby lamb in a room where there's a bear or a lion, that baby lamb will be the preference on the menu between that and hay. So that's how we know. That's how we know. At the end of the sixth day, you're going to have, when this abomination of the desolation spoken by Daniel stand in the holy place, this is going to be the false prophet that's going to come. You can read about that right here in Revelations, the 6th chapter. Right in Revelations, the 6th chapter. He says, "I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard it as it were the noise of thunder. And one of the four beasts saying, Come see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse. He that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. He went forth conquering and to conquer. This, brothers and sisters, is the antichrist. This right here is the one who is the abomination of the desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet. Why is he coming on a white horse? We thought Jesus was coming on a white horse. He is. But this is the one that's coming as if he is the Messiah. That's why he's going to be placed in the temple after it is built. Once that temple is built, this false Christ is going to be placed in that temple, who's going to operate as if they are Christ. But that's the abomination of the desolation. I'm going to leave this here for a second, and I'm going to go back to Matthew. Because when that happens, brothers and sisters, listen to this. When that happens, there's going to be a great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. You will never, when this prophet gets into that holy place, there's going to be a tribulation like this earth has never seen before. And then he says, and we know how long that's going to be. We're not going to do that lesson on this tonight, but it's going to be for 3.5 years. And thank God it's going to be for 3.5 years and not longer. Why? Except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And he's telling you, people are going to come to you. They're going to say this. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. Don't believe it. For there shall arise false prophets, false Christs, and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. But then he says, behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they should say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, don't go. Behold, he's in the secret chambers, believe it not. Because he's letting us know how he's going to come. Let's go back over here. When he comes in the book of Revelations, when he comes, these seals are going to be opened up over a 3.5 year period. The second seal is going to be open. And there went out another horse that was red. Power was given unto him. So it tells you, I'm not going to go through all of these seals and what takes place. That's a different lesson. The third seal is going to be open. The fourth seal is going to be open. These seals in Revelations, the 6th chapter, are opening up over a 3.5 year period. The first seal brings about the abomination of the desolation that's going to be placed in the temple. Then all of these seals are going to open up. The 5th seal. The 6th seal. And when that 6th seal is open, look at what happens. And lo, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair. The moon became as blood. The stars of heaven fell onto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of the mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. When that happens, brothers and sisters, from here to here, when that sixth seal is open, and the sun became black and the moon became as blood, the stars fall from heaven. Look at when that takes place. Let's look over here. Let's look at when that takes place. You all hold up for 1 second, because I told a brother that I would email him. I would send him the YouTube channel, and I'm going to do that right now. And this is what you all should do sometimes when you get this up. Go ahead and do a share. I'm going to share this to this brother right now because I told him that I would, and I'm going to do that. I almost forgot, but I want to share the channel with him. Shout out to brother Tony, but I'm sure he'll tune in once he gets it. So I'm going to send this to him right now because he's coming into the knowledge and the understanding of the truth. He is a truck driver, and he wants to tune in. Here he is right here. I'm going to send this to him so he can have it, okay? All right. Just wanted to do that because it just came up on my mind. All right. Because, class, what's going to happen is, let's go back to Matthew, the 24th chapter. We're going to confirm all of this descriptions. We're going to confirm this. When you open the sixth seal, the earthquake, the sun became black, the moon became as blood, the stars fall from heaven. Let's go read that right back over here, because that is when the 3.5-year tribulation is over. Listen to this in verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation, we know the tribulation is going to be for 3.5 years. That's a different lesson we'll show you at a different time. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, here we go, the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all tribes of the earth mourn. Why are they mourning? Because they're going to see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. You ever wonder why they're going to be mourning? Let's go back over to the book of Revelation. The sixth seal, right here. When that happens, that's going to be at the end of the 3.5-year tribulation. Why is that? Because it just said it. Immediately after. How soon is immediately? Immediately after the 3.5 years. Let's go back over here to Revelation. The heavens shall depart as a scroll when it's rolled together. Every mountain and every island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, the chief captains, the mighty men, every bondman, free man, they're going to hide themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us. Now, I believe that the mountains and the rocks are not literal, but they're governments. Fall on us. In other words, hide us, cover us, protect us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, from the wrath of the Lamb. Why is that? For the great day of his wrath has come. Who's going to be able to stand? We read this before. Who's going to be able to stand? Let's go to Malachi, the prophet. Malachi, the prophet. Who's going to be able to stand? For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, And all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly, shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. I want you to see what's going to happen in here. In the day that I should do this, saith the Lord. He's going to tread on the wicked. Let's go to Malachi, the 3rd chapter. 3rd chapter. Listen to this. Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth it not. When is that going to happen? At the end. At the very end. This is when the Lord is going to return, brothers and sisters. And he's going to come as a refiner's fire, as a fuller's soap. So go read Malachi, the 3rd chapter, 4th chapter, so you can understand where that's coming from. Listen to this. Behold, I send my messenger. He shall prepare the way before me, and the Lord whom you seek shall suddenly come into his temple. Even the messenger of the covenant whom you delight in. Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord. But who may abide the day of his coming? Who shall stand when he appeareth? Well, not a lot of people, because they're going to be running and hiding and telling the government to fall on us, to hide us. For he is like a refiner's fire and like fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. This is all talking about, this is all about the end, brothers and sisters. All about the end. You also can go read this in Isaiah 66. Let's go look over there. All of this is talking about the end. Because if we can read it and understand it, we know where the Lord's coming from. Listen to this, Isaiah 66, and we're going to take you down to verse number 15. For behold, the Lord will come with fire. He's going to come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind. When does that happen? When the sun shall become dark, the moon shall become like blood, the stars shall fall from heaven. That's when the Lord's going to return. And what is he going to do when he returns? And to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh. And we do know one thing, the slain of the Lord shall be many, brothers and sisters. It's going to be a lot of folks. Wonder who they're composed of. Well, here it is. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst. We know who that's behind. Eating swine's flesh and the abomination and the mouse. What's going to happen to them? Shall be consumed together, saith the Lord. For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come to pass that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory. Just like he showed the glory, Pharaoh saw the glory of the Lord. So when you see this, we know what's going to happen when we simply get right here, class, to that reign of Christ right here. Right here on the 7,000th year. We know what's going to happen because I don't want you to be ignorant of one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. Psalms 90:4, for 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it is past. Because what is he trying to do? I want to remind you that every week the kingdom of Christ is coming. That's what he wants you to know. The kingdom of Christ is coming. He's coming. Oh yeah, he's going to come. And if we can get that simply by understanding Leviticus the 23rd chapter, and as to why they have 17 times in Leviticus the 23rd chapter is that word seven or its derivative mentioned. Even on the morrow after the Sabbath. When you see that, when you see that right there, what is that saying? It's talking about the Father's kingdom. That's what that's talking about. Let's go look at it. Because a lot of people don't understand this simple right here. I wonder if I can get that to move over. I can't. Here it is. Here we go. You got day one, Feast of Unleavened Bread. 7 days. Day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's the 21st day of the month. It doesn't necessarily fall on the weekly Sabbath, but I put that there just to let you know when we went back on the other side that the Sabbath was on the 7th day of the week. But the 15th day of, let me hit that up here, I'm sorry. There we go. That's the reign of Christ. But it also is when that 6th day ends, that's the first resurrection. The first resurrection. That's all these feast days keep telling you over and over and over. The Sabbath, tomorrow. What are we doing? We're commemorating his return. When will his return be? Right there during the first resurrection. And we just read what's going to happen. Well, the tribes of the earth, the kingdoms of the earth, they're going to mourn. Why are they mourning? Because in Isaiah 66, he's coming back with a fury. He's coming back with a fire to render his anger. And the slain of the Lord is going to be many. These are the things we understand from simply reading. And then the morrow after the Sabbath is going to take you to the coming of the Father right there on the 8th day. And that's why several times it mentions the morrow after the Sabbath. The morrow after the Sabbath. The morrow after the Sabbath. So when we see that, I want to leave that up there for a second because you all can't see it way over there where we got the 8th day. I shared this with you some time ago. Nothing that the Lord ever instructed Israel to do was just haphazardly. The fact that he said that on the 8th day, all of your male boys should be circumcised on the 8th day. Right there. Why is that? Because when you circumcise a baby boy on the 8th day, what are you doing? You're cutting off the flesh. You're rolling back the flesh of the male organ. You're rolling back the flesh and you're cutting it. You're rolling it back. Because what happens on the 8th day? On the 8th day, there will be no more flesh. So on the 8th day, circumcision, brothers and sisters, even circumcision points toward the plan of salvation. Because he's trying to tell us something. On the 8th day in the scriptures, the women were unclean until the 8th day. Why is that? Because on the 8th day, you have become clean because you have become spirit. You see how everything he instructs is very important? It has a meaning behind it. It has a purpose behind it. When he says, Feast of Unleavened Bread, 7 days. Feast of Tabernacles, 7 days. Counting you from the morrow after the Sabbath, which is the first day of the week, you shall number 7 Sabbaths. Do that 7 times. Why not 5? Why not 4? Why not 3? Because his plan is to keep you in understanding that everything is about the 7th day and the morrow after the 7th day. Because on the 7th day, it's the millennial, the return, Jesus returns. On the 8th day, the Father brings down the kingdom from heaven right here on this earth. This is the plan. This is the layout. This is what he's trying to show us. This is what you have to put in here. So when you read these feast days over in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, what he's trying to tell you is that I am giving you a plan. These feast days are giving you, I like to say a code, but if I say code, somebody's going to think secret code. But it is the code to let you know what the Lord is doing. So this is what he's trying to show you. This is what he's trying to put on the table. He's trying to let you know that I have a plan for man. That's all he's trying to show you. I have a plan for man. And man is to be flesh for 7 days. From the day that he was created, which was on the 6th day, and then when you count 7 days from there, and the morrow after that, you come into the Father's kingdom. Let me see. Brother JD's got a question. He says, please explain Genesis 1 and 27. Let's go look at that. On Genesis 1 and 27, he's given you how things are going to unfold. Listen to this. If you go back over here to what he does in creation, we're going to go up here where he's given you Let's go to the fifth day. The evening and the morning were the fifth day. Now, what does he do in the evening and the morning? Well, let's go up here and look at it. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creatures that have life, and fowl that they may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God said that it was good. And God blessed them, saying to those animals and birds and all of that, he says, be fruitful and multiply. And when you do that, fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowl multiply the earth. That evening and that morning were the fifth day. But look what happens on the sixth day. God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle, creeping things, beasts of the earth after his kind, and it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. We are now in the sixth day. Now these creeping things and these beasts are different from what you're reading up here on the fourth day. Because what he created on the fourth day is things that are in the water in the seas and the fowl that multiply the earth. But now he's going to bring forth on the sixth day, he's going to bring the beasts of the field. And God made the beasts of the earth after the cattle, and the cattle after his kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and God saw that it was good. But then he said, let us make man in our image, not after our kind, but after our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over what? The fish of the sea that he created on the fifth day, and the fowls of the air that he created on the fifth day, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth that he created on the sixth day. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. God blessed them, and he says unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and over every living creeping thing that moveth. Notice he hasn't told man to be fruitful and multiply. He only told those creeping things right here, and those fowls, every living thing that moveth upon the earth. He told them to be fruitful and multiply like he did to the things in the sea. Fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. But then this is what he tells man. God said, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, every tree, and that which is the fruit of the tree, yielding fruit. So you all read that. And every beast of the earth, to every fowl of the air, to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life. I've given you all of this stuff. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. But then, on the seventh day, he ended his works which he had made. Pastor Johnson, blessed Sabbath to you and the family. Please check out Let Us Reason Together. The lesson was super hot. Yeah, we'll post that, Brother Julius, after this lesson. We'll definitely do that. And on the seventh day, God ended his works which he had made. He rested on the seventh day from all his works which he had made. He blessed the seventh day, sanctified it, because he had rested from everything that he created. So when you go back here, class, here we go. He rested on that day because that day signifies the day of his return. But notice he goes on to say, these are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord made the heavens and of the earth. I want to go up here to the verse that Brother JD had put out in verse number 7. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. When did that happen? On the sixth day. So he kind of gives you an outline of what he's going to do, but we see some things coming to its fruition. Then he plants a garden. I'm going back up here to this 6 days, letting you know what he had did. The Lord God planted he planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant in the sight and good for food. He also put the tree of life there, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He put all of that there. And he also put the man in that garden to dress it. And he also tells the man, of every tree of the garden you may eat as freely, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, for the day that thou eatest of it, you're going to surely die. Now, remember, the Lord had created man, but he did not want man to be alone. So it says, and the Lord said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him what? A helpmeet for him. And out of the ground the Lord formed every beast of the field, every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he should call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. So he brings that to Adam because he says, it's not good that man should be alone. I will make a helpmeet for him. Adam gave the names of all cattle, the fowl of the air, every beast, for Adam. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him. So what does the Lord do? He causes him to go into a deep sleep. He took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof, and the rib which the Lord had taken from the man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. 6th day. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. But we also know what happened with the serpent. We're not going to get into that tonight. So then after the 7th day Adam was created, man was created, which is Adam. He was created on the sixth day. That's when Adam was created, on the sixth day. So when we read back up here, where it says God created man in his image, that is Adam. So when he said, let us make man, this was Adam. Adam and Eve were the first two on the sixth day. But when we get to chapter 2, he's sort of telling how everything folded on that sixth day. So when we looked at man was created, that is flesh. That is flesh. So when we go back to our PowerPoint, man was created on the sixth day, but this is the first day that man's going to be in the flesh. Man will only be in the flesh for 7 days. That's it. 7 days. This is the plan of salvation. When did this plan have to kick into place? This plan had to kick into place when Adam failed. When Adam failed, the first Adam failed, the plan had to be put in place. Adam was supposed to take man through the Lamb. Adam was supposed to eat of the tree of life, which is Christ. That's what Adam was supposed to do. Because no man can come unto the Father except you go through Christ. That was Christ in the garden. He was the tree of life. And had Adam eaten of the tree of life and not of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, then everything would have been okay. But he didn't. He ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil instead of eating of the tree of life. So therefore, a diversion took place. All of mankind must go back to the dust from whence he came. So when you go over there and read that, he tells Adam, you know what, Adam? Because you have done this, guess what? Guess what's going to happen to you? Right here. Chapter 3. This is what he tells Adam. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Curse is the ground because of you. And sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee. Because plants didn't have thorns and thistles until Adam messed up. And thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread. In other words, for your food, you're going to have to work for it. How long? Till thou return unto the ground. Here's the punishment. You got to go back to the ground. So now the plan is the second Adam, which is Jesus, has to redeem man from the ground. All of mankind must go back to the ground from whence Adam was created, including Eve, because she was created from Adam. So all of Adam and the seed of Adam and Eve, here we are today, everybody must return to the ground from whence we came. Why is that? For out of it was thou taken, for dust thou art, and dust shall thy return. That's what has to happen. And what did he do with the tree of life? The Lord said, behold, The man has become as one of us, to know good and evil. And now lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. So what does the Lord have to do? He had to send Adam forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. And what does he do? He puts angels there with a flaming sword to keep the way of the tree of life. Now, Adam knew his wife. He had sex with Eve, and she conceived and bare Cain, and the story goes on and on and on. But what happened is, Adam, brothers and sisters, let's go back over here. Adam or no man has ever lived past a day. How long is a day? 1,000 years. Methuselah lived to be 969, but nobody has ever lived longer than a day, being 1,000 years. Because man's got to return back to the ground. And I'm going to exclude Enoch from that. So now man has to go back to the ground from whence he came. He cannot live beyond 1,000. Well, guess what? Then the Lord shortened that time. Over time, he shortened the time. When you go back and read the genealogies in Genesis, the 6th chapter, you'll see that man started to die younger and younger and younger. And guess what? Today, it's even younger. Some of these young males out here, Hebrews, if they live past 18, that's pretty good. The way the world has become the way it is, that's what happens. So when you look at this, Jesus is going to return on this day. Man has 7 days in the flesh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jesus is going to return right here. At the end of the 6th day, he's going to reign. This is why Isaiah 9 and 6 says this. Let's go read it real quick. Isaiah 9 and 6. Isaiah 9 and 6. Listen to what it says. For unto us a child is born. Unto us a son is given. But check this out. The government shall be upon his shoulder. What government? The government of the whole earth is going to be on his shoulder. When he returns, he's going to be born through woman so he can redeem man from the grave to be the first fruits of the resurrected. But he's going to be the first fruits of the resurrected, sit on the right hand of the Father, and then he's going to return after the tribulation. And when he returns, the whole earth is going to mourn, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. How do we know the government is going to be upon his shoulder? Because Nebuchadnezzar had the dream, Daniel had the dream. And look at what Zechariah said. Let's go over there real quick. Zechariah, the 14th chapter. Listen to it. Remember, the government should be upon his shoulder. Zechariah, the 7th chapter. Listen to this. Let me show this to you here. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day there shall be one Lord, his name one. That's why it says the government shall be upon his shoulder. That's going to happen. When is that going to happen? Right here. There it is right there. The millennial, the Messiah returns during the millennium or during that 1,000 years, which is why when we come together every Sabbath, we are commemorating not only the Sabbath as a rest, but we are commemorating the return of Christ, sitting on the throne of David as he promised David. And what's going to happen? He will be king over all the earth. This is why the kings of the earth are going to mourn. Where are they mourning at? Well, before I go over there and show you, look what has to happen. When he's in charge. When he's in charge. It shall come to pass that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even unto them shall be no rain. No rain, brothers and sisters. My daughter wants to borrow my charger here. I'm going to let her come and get it. Alrighty here. Because he's going to be the king over all the earth. All right? Listen to this. When you read all of that, that's what's going to happen. He's going to be king over all the earth. When is that going to take place? Right here. Right there. This is the day that we're looking forward to. This is the day that we're looking that this is when that's going to happen. And what's going to happen? Right here. That's the first resurrection. First resurrection right here. The second resurrection is going to be on the morrow after the Sabbath, which is the 8th day. So right before the Father comes, brothers and sisters, because flesh cannot be on earth. Flesh cannot be able to comprehend the awesomeness of the Father. So there'll be no more flesh. There'll be flesh when Jesus returns. Oh yeah, there's going to be flesh when Jesus returns. That's why he said it right here. It shall be that whosoever will not come up of all the families of the earth. Who are these people? These are the folks that they're not in the first resurrection. These are the ones that the Lord, he spares some people. Because remember in Isaiah 66, when the Lord returns with an anger, when he returns, brothers and sisters, at the opening of the 7th seal, or at the end of the 6th seal, because that's when everything, let me just show that to you, because I'm talking, but I like to show it to you, so you know when Jesus returns. We're going to come right back here to Zechariah. We're going to come right back there. We're going to go to Revelations. Revelation, the 6th chapter. When he opens up the 6th seal, the earth is going to quake. The sun is going to become black as sackcloth. The moon is going to become as blood. The stars of heaven are going to fall from the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs. Heaven is going to depart as the scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island are going to be moved out of their places. The kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, the chief captains, the mighty men, every bondman, every free man, they're done. For the great day of his wrath is come. Who shall be able to stand? This is what Isaiah 66 is talking about. So what is he doing? He's setting up. Let's go back over here. So when he does that, he doesn't take out everybody. Most of the people, because the slain of the Lord is going to be many. But then he says, whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem. Let's go back up here. It's verse 16. It shall come to pass that everyone that is left from the nations which came up against Jerusalem. Because there's going to be a lot of nations that's going to go up against Jerusalem. Even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts. If they don't go up and keep the Feast of Tabernacles, whoever does not come up to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, there's not going to be no rain. And without rain, there's no food. Without food, you die. This is going to be the penalty. That's why he says here, this is going to be the plague of all of them that don't do this. There shall be the plague, or the penalty, wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This is going to be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all nations that don't come up and keep the Feast of Tabernacles. You see, because the Feast of Tabernacles, because he's letting you know this is the feast that you're going to be keeping, that will commemorate, that will get you to the Father's kingdom. Why is that? Because you're going to be keeping the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days to remind you what? On the morrow after the Sabbath, or on the 8th day. You see how this thing is flowing here? When you go back to look at this chart, it's letting you know. You got the coming of the Father, and you got the kingdom of Christ. Christ is going to give a perfect kingdom. Let's go read that. And we're going to be closing out in a minute. We're going to read that. Let's go to Revelation. See, this is where we have to see it, brothers and sisters. We can't teach it all in one night, but this is what we're going to show you. Here's during the reign of Christ. I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them. Judgment was given unto them. Let's stop right here. Remember, we said judgment is going to be given unto you. Let's go to Malachi. We read it already, but let's go back and look at it. We'll come back here. The 3rd chapter. They shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels. I'm going to spare them, his jewels, his saints, as a man that spareth his own son that serveth him. Then shall ye return. What are you going to be doing when you return? And when you return, you're going to discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not. So let's go back to Revelation. I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them. Judgment is going to be given unto them. Who are these people? The souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, for the word of God, those that did not worship the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And what are they going to do? Live and reign with Christ 1,000 years. When will that be? Right there. Right there. 1,000 years. From the end of the sixth day, like today, the sixth day of the week, commonly called Friday, the sun went down. When the sun went down, it started the seventh day of the week. So from here to here, 1,000 years is like a day unto the Lord, and a day unto the Lord is like 1,000 years. When that 1,000 years is over, now you're getting into the morrow after the Sabbath. They're going to live and reign with Christ 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. That's why we put that right here. First resurrection. First resurrection starts at the beginning of the seventh day, when Jesus is setting up his kingdom. That's when it begins. That's why when you go back to Zechariah, the 14th chapter, it says the Lord is going to return. Look who's coming with him, the saints. And the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with him. Who are these saints? Here they are right here. Those that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus. This even goes back to the saints that came out of the Spanish Inquisition back in the 1500s, whenever that was, and for the word of God. John the Baptist, Peter, those that were stoned, all of those martyrs, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, nor had received his mark on their foreheads. Now you're talking about those that are coming through the tribulation, or in their hands. They lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. And then it goes on and say, blessed and holy is he that have part in the first resurrection. Because that's where you want to be at. You want to be in the first resurrection. Because you're going to be like Christ. Well, how was Jesus? How was he? Well, he's the first fruits of the resurrected, according to 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. He's the first fruits. Well, what did he do after he resurrected? Well, the disciples were in a building. The doors were shut. And when the doors were shut, he appeared in the midst of them and said, peace be unto you. You can only do that, brothers and sisters, when you have resurrected and become spirit. Other than that, you can't go through a solid wall unless you're spirit. He did that about a week later. The doors were shut. The brothers were in the room. He appeared into the midst of them and said, peace be unto you. Because that is how it works. That's how it works. Blessed and holy is he that have part in the first resurrection. What are you going to be? Well, here it is. You're going to be priests of God and of Christ, and you're going to reign with him. Reign means you're going to be part of the kingdom. How long? 1,000 years. But after the 1,000 years are expired, Satan is going to be loose. From where? Out of his prison. How did he get there? Well, let's go back up here. An angel came down from heaven, having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. He laid a hold of the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So what are you saying? During this 1,000 years, from here to here, on that millennial reign of Christ, Satan is going to be bound. He will have no influence, nothing to do with anybody here on earth. That's what the scriptures is showing us. He's going to be bound 1,000 years. He's going to be cast into the bottomless pit. Shut him up. There's going to be a seal set upon him that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. But after that 1,000 years, he's just going to be loose for a little season. Where is that? What little season? Right here. Right before the second resurrection, Satan is going to be let out of his pit. And he's going to deceive the nations. And you know what? Some people are going to fall for the okie doke. They will. Here we go. When 1,000 years are expired, Satan is going to be loose out of his prison. He's going to go out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is the sand of the sea. You mean he's going to go out and convince people who are from the nations of the earth? Where did they come from? It's the same people back over here in Zechariah, the 14th chapter. Same people. Right here. It shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came up against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts. So what are they going to be doing during that 1,000-year millennial? They're going to go and start to have babies, and life is just going to go on. Except the law of the land is going to be one Lord, one law. Wow. One Lord, one law. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be one Lord, one law. It ain't going to be no communism. We told you all that before. It ain't going to be none of that. All of that is going to be that because what? The Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day there should be one Lord and his name one. It's not going to be an election. It's not going to say, are we going to have are we going to vote for who's going to be in Congress? No. If you're not in that first resurrection, you're not reigning with Christ. No flesh is going to be able to do that. Only the saints are going to reign with Christ. So you got to understand what's happening because the government of Christ is going to be the saints. Are you sure about that, Pastor Johnson? Well, let's go look again. Revelations, the 20th chapter. I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them. Judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for Jesus, for the word of God. All of these people, brothers and sisters, blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. There it is. You're going to have a job. You're going to be a part of the reign of Christ. You're going to be part of the kingdom of Christ. You're in the first resurrection. You don't have to worry about being judged. You're being judged now, right now, today. You're being judged as to whether or not you will be in the first resurrection. That's the way it's working right now. You're being judged. Are you going to make the first cut? Blessed and holy is he that makes the first cut. Because you don't have to worry about the lake fire. If you're in the first resurrection, you are guaranteed that you are already a part of the kingdom of Christ. You already made it. You're on the team. But look at this. There's going to be a second resurrection. Because after the 1,000 years, I saw a great white throne, and him that sat upon it, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away, and there was no place found for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, the Bible. That's the books. And another book was opened. Here's the book where you want to be at, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things that were written in the books according to their works. What books? Genesis through Malachi. And the sea gave up the dead that were in it. And death and hell delivered up, as the grave, delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works. That's why he says, ye shall reign, and you're going to discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not. And hell were cast, death and hell, that's the grave, that it's going to be cast into the lake of fire, because there's no more death. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life is going to be cast into the lake of fire. Well, that's what happens. But then look at this. You got the morrow after the Sabbath. That's what you got. You got the morrow after the Sabbath. What happens on the morrow after the Sabbath? What is he trying to tell us? On the 8th day, you circumcise all your male children, because what are you doing? You're rolling back the flesh. You're cutting the flesh. Why on the 8th day? Because there is no flesh on the 8th day. A woman is unclean until the 8th day. Why? Because you're no longer flesh. He's trying to do these things, these cultural habits, simply to remind you everything that he's trying to do. That's all he's doing, brothers and sisters. He's putting it on the table so that you will get a repetition. And you know what? The feast days have been going on since the days of Moses. And don't you know, as long as they've been going on, people still don't know how and what the feasts are all about. And this is why we're taking this time leading up to the feast to make sure you understand not only how to keep the feast or what do you do on the day that you keep the feast, but why are we doing it? What do they mean? And that's what we are trying to put forth today. Brothers and sisters, I hope that you enjoyed the lesson tonight. We'll be back next week on Monday, and we hope that you'll have a wonderful Sabbath. Tune in to us tomorrow right here on this channel. There it is. You can like, you can subscribe and share, and come in and be a part and listen. There's going to be a wonderful lesson taught by Pastor Bowie. So tune in, because we're going to be broadcasting that lesson on the channel. Okay? In-house, we may do something a little different so that we can make sure you continue to understand these feast days, because even at 11:30, Elder Blake is going to be putting forth a wonderful lesson. All right? So tune in. We hope and pray that you will let the words of your mouth, the meditation of your heart be acceptable in thy sight. Lord, be our strength and our redeemer. In Jesus' name. Shout out to Brother JD, Brother Julius, Sister Coach, Sister Queen, Brother Mark P., Brother Brian Johnson, one of our newest, Brother David East, all of our moderators in the chat room, Brother Abraham Talbert. Shout out to all of you all that are doing here. I know many of you all have asked for a calendar. They are on their way. So when you get it, just say, hey, I got my calendar. But some of them have already gone out. Those that I got emails over the last few days, they'll probably go out on Monday or so. Or maybe some of them went out today. I don't know. But they are on their way. All right? So we just wanted to put that out to you. All right. I want to get out of here as we always do. We have a favorite song that we play. I saw my sister, Sister Barbara Benton says, I got my calendar. That's good. I like it. So we know people are starting to receive them. Good. We're going to play My High Priest as we do on Friday nights. And we hope and pray that you enjoy this song. And we're going to get up out of here, and we'll see you. We'll see you on Monday night. God bless you, brothers and sisters. We'll talk soon. Happy Sabbath.
Just how much you mean to me, because I was once blind, but now I see that you paid it all when you hung upon a tree. You're my king, even my high priest. Lord, you're the only one who can intercede for me, to take my prayer before the Father when I fall down on my knees. You know my prayer even before I speak. You're my king, even my high priest. I have found you. Now all of that has changed. You gave me your word, and your word, it brought me peace. You're my king. Lord, you're my high priest. Create in me a clean heart.
Renew our right spirit.